The story starts with a woman. When she reached her office, she saw the same unfamiliar face that had been appearing in her dreams for the past few days. She got scared and left immediately. She couldn't understand whether it was all an illusion or reality. The woman's name was Echa. It all began a few nights ago when she was peacefully sleeping in her room, and an unknown force, a Jin, quietly entered her dreams. Echa found herself in the garden of a beautiful palace, where she was dressed in white and enjoying the fragrance of flowers. Suddenly, an attractive and mysterious man appeared in front of her. Their eyes met, but neither said a word. Instead of feeling uneasy, Echa felt strangely drawn to the man's presence. But at the same time, something bad was happening in reality. The Jinn was gaining control over her. She woke up at 4 a.m., disturbed, but the dream left a deep mark on her mind. She just couldn't forget it. Around that same time, her husband Ariel returned home after a late-night shift, but Echa was behaving strangely. She was upset with Ariel because she felt he didn't give her enough time. Ariel tried to explain that he was working so hard for her sake, but when he came home, he found neither peace nor warmth. The two had an argument, and the night passed in bitterness. The next day at the office, Echa remained disturbed. She kept feeling like someone was watching her, but whenever she turned around, there was no one. Though in reality, it was all a prank by her colleague Linda. Linda had noticed that Echa seemed troubled, and upon asking, Echa confided that her married life wasn't going well. Linda advised her that if she wanted to save her relationship, she would have to bring back the warmth and romance that existed in the early days of their love. That night, Echa got herself ready. She dressed up nicely and cooked a meal for Ariel. When Ariel returned late at night, he was stunned by Echa's transformed appearance. For the first time, he realized how beautiful his wife could look when she smiled. But just as everything seemed to be getting better, a shadow stood outside the door. The same Jinn that used to appear in his dreams. That night, Echa had the same dream again. This time, a white flower was placed on her chest. She felt that the palace was actually a trap from which she couldn't escape. When she woke up, she saw the same white flower actually lying on her bed. She was shocked and began to wonder whether it had all just been a dream, or if someone was truly taking hold of her. Echa and Ariel's married life was normal, but there were some things that were slowly hollowing out their relationship. One morning, while Echa was on her way to the office, she saw the same strange man who had been appearing in her dreams for days. He was slowly walking toward her, but when Echa looked into the mirror, she was shocked because it wasn't a man, but a Jinn. Terrified, Echa ran into the washroom to hide. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her stomach and began to vomit. At that moment, her friend came in and saw that Echa was throwing up blood along with some strange insect-like creatures. Her friend was frightened, but tried to help her. Meanwhile, Ariel was returning home from duty when he saw Echa on the way. But this Echa was not the one he knew. She was sitting by the roadside screaming loudly. Her face had an eerie smile, like something out of a nightmare. Just then, a child began crawling on the ground toward Ariel. But the very next moment, Ariel was startled. It was all an illusion. After reaching home, Ariel was so disturbed that he didn't even eat and went straight to his room. They were both in bed, but Ariel couldn't even look at Echa. The image of that terrifying dream kept coming back to him. The next morning, a woman came to their house and informed them that Echa was pregnant, 3 months along. Ariel was shocked. He said they had only been intimate once or twice recently. A 3-month pregnancy so soon didn't seem possible. He began to suspect that something was wrong. At the office, Echa told everyone about her pregnancy. Echa's friend found it strange because just a few days ago, Echa had been complaining about Ariel. Linda remembered that vomiting incident where worms had come out. Now she started to suspect that the baby might not be Ariel's. Meanwhile, Ariel shared this with a colleague. He too was troubled and began to wonder whether Ariel had been betrayed. His friend kept trying to explain that maybe Ariel was just calculating the timeline wrong. That night, Ariel began his security duty on the night shift. While patrolling the dark parking area, a car alarm suddenly went off. Ariel shined his flashlight around, but saw nothing. He had no idea that at that very moment, a mysterious shadow was crawling out of a pipeline, moving toward him. After returning home, Ariel was still frightened. As soon as Echa fell asleep, Ariel secretly checked her phone. He saw that Echa had been talking to a man continuously. Ariel couldn't hold it in any longer. He directly asked Echa. Echa replied that he was her college friend and they hadn't met in years. Although Echa tried to brush off the matter as normal, Ariel still had doubts in his mind, whether the child growing in Echa's womb was even his or not. The next day, they went together to a nearby hospital to meet a female doctor. After the examination, the doctor revealed that Ik was not pregnant. Hearing this, Ariel felt relieved. He thought perhaps he was wrong to suspect Ik. Ik shared this information with Linda as well. However, Ik still felt some kind of movement in her belly, as if a living being was growing inside her. Linda began to suspect that some evil force might be affecting Ik. She advised Ik to meet an old acquaintance, Ustad Zaini. As soon as Ustad saw Ik, he was startled. He could clearly see that a jinn was following her. Ik kept insisting that there was definitely something inside her, but everyone around her kept trying to convince her that she wasn't pregnant. Frustrated, Ik stormed off. That night, while Linda was returning home, she heard the sound of a cat. But when she looked around, she couldn't see any animal. She followed the sound into a corner. Suddenly, something heavy fell from above directly onto her head. Linda died on the spot. At that very moment, Ik suddenly felt a sense of unease in her heart and rushed straight to the scene of the incident. She saw Linda's body and collapsed on the ground, sobbing loudly. Ariel immediately held her and tried to calm her down. Just then, both Ariel and Ik noticed that Isha's belly had once again swollen abnormally. The next morning, they returned to Ustad. This time, Ustad began chanting mantras, and Ik's face slowly began to change. It became terrifying and distorted. Then Ik suddenly gave a horrifying smile. Ustad realized this was no ordinary case. He began chanting his most powerful mantra. Just then, a strange shape appeared on Isha's stomach, as if some terrifying creature was trying to come out from inside. Due to the power of the mantra, Isha's stomach gradually returned to normal within moments, and the master exorcised the evil spirit from her body. The master explained that this jinn targets married women who feel lonely in their relationships. It lures them with sweet words, gains their trust, and then breaks their marital life. He warned Ariel that if the jinn ever returned to Isha, he should come to him without delay. Time passed. 14 days later, Ariel realized his mistake. He decided that he would never let Isha feel alone again. He would now stay with her every day so that no evil force could come between them. In search of a better life, when Ariel had to leave the city, Isha reluctantly agreed. But as night fell, loneliness began to consume her. One night, she fell asleep while watching TV. The next morning, when she reached the office, the atmosphere felt strange. Her colleagues were looking at her with odd expressions. The next moment, everyone pointed at her and started laughing. Scared, Isha ran to the office restroom and hid. But when she turned around, the scene was horrifying. By evening, Isha had called her closest friend to spend the night with her. The two lay on the bed, chatting. But soon, Isha started to feel sleepy. Her friend shook her to prevent her from falling into another nightmare. Just then, the jinn suddenly dragged Isha's friend out of the room and slammed her against the wall, knocking her unconscious. At that very moment, the jinn entered Isha's room and moved towards her. Her stomach suddenly started to swell, as if some creature was growing inside it. When she woke up, she felt pregnant again. In a fit of rage, she began hitting her stomach. But at that very moment, blood started flowing from her body. Terrified, she went to the bathroom and, grabbing a metal wire, tried to destroy the terrifying creature inside her. Just then, Ariel suddenly returned home and found Isha covered in blood. They picked up the unconscious girl and took Isha to Utsat. This time, Utsat called some of his companions, and together they tried to drive the evil spirit away from Isha. They tied her to a bed and began chanting mantras. Isha once again entered that terrifying dream where the same jinn wanted to make her his eternal companion. That's when the jinn's influence took hold of Isha's body and her eyes opened. She began muttering in strange voices. Then suddenly she fainted again. Utsat intensified his chants. The next moment, Isha's entire body began to levitate in the air. Everyone present in the room was shocked. Suddenly, all the lights in the house went out. In that darkness, the jinn revealed a glimpse of himself. He sat over Isha and stared at the tantric, trying to confuse his mind. But the master's spirit was strong. He did not give up. Just then, the lights came back on and the jinn disappeared. Ariel quickly rushed to Isha and slowly whispered in her ear that he would now always be with her and never let her feel alone. At that time, Isha was still trapped in that terrifying dream, but Ariel's words reached her ears. It trembled in her dream, and the fortress in which she was imprisoned shattered and collapsed. Finally, Ik was freed from the grip of that demon. As soon as she stepped out of the gates of that terrifying castle, The mysterious fortress sank into the ground. Along with it, her horrifying nightmare also ended forever. When she regained consciousness, the monstrous creature growing inside her womb had also disappeared. Many years passed. Exactly 6 years later, Echa and Ariel had become the proud parents of 2 lovely children. Their life was now filled with peace and happiness, so much so that even those around them felt envious. But one day that same terrifying face appeared once again in Isha's dream. However, this time, its target wasn't Ik, but a close friend of hers, whose married life wasn't going particularly well. This story is based on a South Asian horror film released in 2025, inspired by a real-life experience. At the end of the film, an interview with a person connected to that true incident is also shown. While the story may seem familiar in parts, the film's presentation is commendable, and the atmosphere of fear is maintained throughout. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe to this channel for more horror stories like this.